to everybody here live with me, Happy New Year. I know I've already told most of you, but to everyone at home that maybe isn't with us, Happy New Year. Today, we're going to be doing something a little special. We're each going to share one trade idea for 2025. Maybe our best idea, maybe our second best idea, maybe our third best idea. Don't worry, we'll tell you which one it is. But we're going to share kind of our best idea. And at the end, we'll pull one option trade out of the 5 and share that. So we're going to share our 5 best kind of stock ideas, or 5 out of our 15 best stock ideas, let's say. And then we'll pull an option trade out of it at the end that we can trade along with. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. I am joined by the Viking of Volatility, Andrew T. Giovinazzi. He is our President, Director of Education. I'm joined by Francis J. Gregory. He is our man in both Washington and New York, telling you everything you need to know about what's changing in policy. Out in our morning meeting with another banger idea. I can't wait to trade. And then we're joined by our imperial overlord of income, Hans Albrecht, although he is much more than that, as you will learn over the coming few months. And of course, wrapping things up, Her Majesty herself. We just used to call her Queen, but to you, she's the Queen of the Candlesticks. She is Leisha J. Leslie.
Good morning.
As our Queen, I would I'll throw it to you first, Leisha, if you're ready.
I am.
Leisha is going to share her stock idea and a little bit about why, and then we'll start passing it around.
I am ready to show my Walmart chart here, Justin. I like Walmart to the end of the year, trading $152, but it has a very nice doji created on Thursday, just below the bottom support level of the pitchfork. Yeah, Friday provided confirmation, but you want to clear the most recent highs, which we're doing today. And now we're back into the pitchfork. Today would be a great day to go along Walmart. And then roll and roll and roll until the end of the year, right? Resistance today will be right up here, 93.13. So grab those calls. And then above, if it keeps going, 95.75. I like Walmart long through the end of the year. I like the idea of the USA getting healthy. I think Walmart is a way for food companies to hit the masses. I know Walmart isn't big in the big cities, but people in the cities are generally the ones that are searching for health. The flyover country, I hope I'm not being rude or whatever, but that's what they call it all. Not that there aren't healthy people, but
I mean, you're currently in it.
I am. Go into any airport, any public space, and there are too many people that need healthier food. And I think Walmart is a way to get it to them. I was looking at a couple of food companies, and I just liked Walmart better. I think Walmart overall will benefit. And I honestly do think that Americans want to be healthy. And if they could change our nasty chemicals and food additives, I think Walmart already offers great options to be healthier. And I think they'll benefit from that. And I it's a hopeful thing too. I just think we all need it. The country needs it. But as I said, hop on today. By the end of the week, you'll make money on some calls.
Next thing you know, everyone at work will have 2-liter bottles of bone broth they're drinking throughout the day.
You're right.
As
I said, you can seek it out, but unless you really want to look for it,
yeah,
I don't know. I that's my theory.
I think it's an interesting idea amongst. I think there's multiple issues that are great about Walmart, and that's just one of them. But it's a big one.
Overall,
Speaking of big
Walmart's great.
ones, let's bring in our resident our resident five in on the option pit basketball team, Hans Albrecht.
Hans would be our center, actually.
Well,
That's
on
true.
this team, on our team, he'd be a center. On most teams, he's a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, that's right. But unlike Shaq, I can make a free throw, so I'm pretty versatile.
All right, so
Cheap
Hans,
shot on Shaq.
welcome.
Look at that.
Happy New Year, Hans. What is your idea, your stock idea?
Happy New Year, everybody. So my stock idea is Cameco. Of course it would be. I'm in Canada, and I'm very fond of Cameco. They have a big uranium project here. They have some in Australia as well, but very much a North American presence, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, I think is very, very important. So the basis for this is that I think this power upgrade, maintenance, and new idea kind of theme is going to be very, very big. And it's horse out of the barn stuff, which we'll talk about in a moment. So the power grid is really straining under the weight of all these data centers. I was reading a couple reports the other day. All this, especially if you're a city or an area near one of these, I think there's one in West Virginia. There are a few dotted around the country because the US is really the leader in the world in nuclear power generation. So these things are popping up or being restarted. And if you're near one of these kind of hubs, they're talking about this kind of distortion that's happening, right? So they're taking data from all these they've got like 1 million of these sensors around the country, and they're showing these red zones where normal power for you and I, for everybody here, regular folks, is really getting messed up by these massive data centers that are sucking up all this power. And I traded back when the Fukushima disaster happened. I was a market maker back then, and it was unbelievable. And I mean, it was so toxic after that. As we know, we couldn't touch nuclear with a 100-foot pole. But the narrative is absolutely 100% flipped for a few reasons. And I'm talking about this sort of grid problem and this constant horse out of the barn need for power. And so, and one thing I love about this theme is that whenever you see a theme where the government is very, very much pushing for it, that can be very, very positive too, because of course we know the government has unlimited money, right? So anytime you have somebody with unlimited money, you've got sort of, you're piggybacking on something very, very powerful. And you can see they're pushing into, I think it was Constellation Energy. They just got $1 billion contract to supply nuclear power to all these different agencies. The Department of Energy is investing like $3 billion into domestic fuel production, domestic nuclear production. And think of how important that is. I think this is super exciting for them because think of all the sort of geopolitical stress surrounding the reliance on the Middle East, on energy from Russia. This is almost this incredibly unique opportunity for them to kind of redraw the map of energy. It's going to take some time, of course, but they can redraw the sort of power plays within the energy space by really focusing on this. And I think that's very, very exciting to them. And that's going to be a big, big push for the sector. And of course, you need uranium for this. They're talking about building all these smaller nuclear reactors, and you're just going to need a lot of uranium. So I think that's really cool for Cameco. Mark, you mentioned that we could talk about some other things. So my other kind of secondary play is something like a next gen, which I think will be taken over in the next few years. They're going to be at some point 20% of uranium production. So I think they are going to be a must own. I think that's kind of a little bit riskier, but a longer term play. But for something a little steadier, I think you go with a big force within the space, and that is Cameco. Again, projects in Australia, in Canada. NextGen, by the way, is also in the Athabasca Basin. So
which one is the NextGen symbol?
Of course, one of the big topics for the government is not relying on foreign things, right? So this isn't exactly the same thing, but look at all the headaches we've got because of Taiwan creating, so much of semiconductor, having so much power concentrated in one place. We are in a deglobalization environment where people want to onshore, and this prospect of having the ability to have much of that production in North America is going to be unbelievable. So I think this is horse out of the barn. We see Google investing in nuclear. We see Microsoft, I think, was another one. This is a really, really special place. We've seen a bit of a pullback in CCG. I had it in my ideas for 2025. We've already run maybe 7% at this point since I put that out. But as I said, this isn't a 1 week trade. I think this is kind of an exciting thing to watch.
Hans, you're speaking my language, and I got to tell you, keep an eye on Amazon too, because they're moving into that space along with Google and Microsoft.
Awesome.
Well, and I think with Trudeau stepping aside, that'll clear up some of the regulatory hurdles for CCJ as well, which should make things a little easier.
Guys, what's the symbol for next gen?
Speaking of Trudeau, it's obviously we have our expert on all things policy, both domestic and semi-international. I mean, Canada is going to be our 51st state at some point, right?
Well, especially now with all the uranium there, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's on a list with Greenland at the moment. So
Greenland,
Panama.
That's right.
How funny would it be if
All
Canada
right.
became a state?
Can anybody hear me? What is the symbol for next gen? NXE.
NXE, yeah.
All right.
I
So
thought I had it
speaking
on
of the
my
next
list, but I
gen
don't.
and government policy and everything we need to know about 2025, especially let's bring in our own Villanova undergrad. For some reason, he's got some Duke hat on. I don't know what
It's
is.
a new hat, Mark. I'm just breaking it in.
I like it. Now, obviously, Duke law grad, so he's allowed a free pass unless they're playing each other. Then let's bring in our own Frank Gregory. Frank, what do you got for 2025?
I got a lot for 2025, Mark. This is a tough assignment because there's a lot going on. Look, like I said, Hans, speaking my language, SMR, I love that stock. I think it's going to do well going forward. There's a couple other ones in that small nuclear space. I'm also big on the miners. I think lithium stocks are actually going to do real well this year. You're going to get a Elon Musk bump. So those are some of the longer term things I'm looking at. And Mark, I like the longer term stuff, but I'm going to switch gears here in the new year and go with a short term trade. And I've been looking at VPN providers. And the one I like is Juniper Networks. I'll tell you why, JNPR. But what's my thought here? You got a bunch of states that are limiting access to porn sites. A little off color, I know. I apologize. They're not, the rumor is that they're canceling them. They did not. They just are putting policies in place to ensure that people accessing these sites are at least 18 years old, which, by the way, complies with federal law. And some of the porn sites said, we don't want to deal with these compliance issues. They thought it was intrusive because you had to put ID in, which discussion for another day. But they limited access in these states, Florida being one, and I guess Florida is very popular in the porn community. So the workaround is getting VPNs. And some of these VPN subscriptions, I was reading an article just yesterday, are up tremendously. And so I think you're going to see as this starts rolling out, it starts becoming a little more recognized, and also people just understand that VPNs are pretty beneficial from a connectivity standpoint. You're going to see a growth in these, particularly in the short term. Juniper Networks, I like. It's multinational, and it not only has VPN, but it designs products around cybersecurity and other cross-selling opportunities. It's also not a Cisco or one of the big ones that are wildly overpriced at this point. It's trading around $37, which is its 12-month average. And I think that there's some excellent trading opportunity. And Andrew and I are going to talk about it a little bit more going forward.
So what you're telling us is if you're in one of those states and your spouse looks at you and says, hey, honey, we should get a VPN, raise an eyebrow. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, I look, I don't handle my wife got one the other day for some reason. I don't know what was going on. But.
You know, and I just out of curiosity, I was interested in what percentage of internet traffic is adult sites, and they estimate between 10 and 12% between that side of it and gambling. So, which is another use of VPN.
Right. And the great news is, particularly when you have a company that is diversified like Juniper, when people download a virus from these porn sites, they'll have to then get the cyberware as well. So it's a win-win.
Frank, my takeaway from all that was that old people in Florida like porn. I don't know if I'm on the right track here, but I might have missed the point.
There's been some rumors about some of those retirement communities, but
oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, let's not talk about pink flamingos. Speaking of pink flamingos, let's bring in our friend and our
the villages is pretty
our Viking of volatility, our volatility trader extraordinaire, one Andrew T. Giovinazzi. Andrew, what do you have for 2025?
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to I guess this is our first one of the year, right? Is this our first?
It is. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year,
like we
I think you said that already. I'm glad I'm picking it up. Anyway, my stock of the year is kind of a contra or pick of the year. Contra pick is Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. REG. So basically what's happened is REGN is the symbol. It was a $1,200 stock in September. It is now a $700 stock. I have been buying it since the 300s. It's probably the only stock after COVID where like the treatment actually worked. So I think this is more like a pharmaceutical value play, although I would say probably I would say there's going to be some risk to it, REGN, but it makes tons of money, very successful. Their pharmaceutical companies will find a way to make money, as Frank and I have seen over the years. They are well lobbied, and generally pharmaceutical companies, when they I think as an investable thing on a pullback, they do a lot of stuff with blood therapy. So they take your blood and they mix it with stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I like it. It hasn't been this low since July of 2023. Yeah. So, you're talking 18-month low, and really,
Mark, if you don't mind, I think you're also going to get some RFK fallout on this, and that's probably already been baked in a little bit. And then a company that actually has sound fundamentals is going to win coming out of that, particularly if the price is then artificially depressed.
Yeah, it's also their lab that sort of made stuff on the fly. So anyway, I thought there was a more unique pharmaceutical company, and again, it has done well, but it did get smashed. So for somebody that's interested, I'm going to start selling some puts at the 700 level again here, and see what happens. So anyway, that is my take for the year. A little different one for me, but I think it's a little bit of a buying opportunity in this one.
All right. Well, I'm going to take things in a little different direction than everybody else. I have. I want to tell you the stock that I'm selling in 2025, rather than the stock I'm buying. You at the top, and it's fitting that we let off with Walmart, because as strong as I think Walmart is going to be in 2025, what formerly was his top competitor and is no longer, if you want to share my screen, is a company called Target Corporation. Ooh. And what Walmart is doing right, Target is doing wrong. They relied on their branding to which for a while really held them up over a long period of time, right? Your upper middle class families were like, oh, I'm going to Target or stuff like that. That's fallen off. Two, the move to internet, they just slept on it. And Walmart did not. Walmart Plus is now a direct competitor of Amazon Prime and, doing a big chunk of sales. I didn't think anyone would ever be able to challenge Amazon on internet shopping, and Walmart has done it. Target also ran. They are the irony is that of Macy's you were born, of Macy's you will return. And we've seen the slow demise of Macy's, and I think Target is heading down the same road. These disappointing results that we've seen over and over again, I think you're going to see overall declining sales year over year, declining revenues. So if you're looking for something, if you're looking for a hedge, something that would hedge against maybe the economy being soft, something along with a company that is not executing, to go along against all these other companies like an Amazon, a Walmart that are executing, a pair of Target, short Target versus long Walmart, long Amazon would be the way I would set up my retail trade if I was building up a portfolio just on retail. So there is my idea. Now, folks, we've been pitched a lot of ideas. We've been pitched CCJ, Cameco, Walmart, Regeneron. We've been pitched Juniper. I'm leaning CCJ and or Walmart for our trade to throw on for the year. What are you guys thinking in terms of ease?
Well, I think Walmart has the cheapest calls, like just cheap calls. I also like the Juniper looks like a pretty.
I don't hate Juniper either.
It has a lot of momentum and is very newsworthy. Although if we trade it here, we're not going to trade it in capital gains, which will annoy me.
Yeah.
But again, Juniper's volatility in Juniper is very low, 15 vol, but there's a little bit, I'm trying to, so the only thing is the options are kind of weird in the liquid. So I have to look a little more at that, to be quite honest. But let's go back to a Walmart or CCJ, because both of those gapped really hard today.
Yeah, Walmart looking nice. Walmart, nice little pullback, starting to take off again. Has held in the 90s this whole time. Has not really been able to break into 100. There's an old saying: if it's trading 90, it will go to 100. It has not yet. So there's that. Now, CCJ, yes, to Andrew's point, it is a higher volatility stock now because it's a lower price. The options will be, from a cost perspective, pretty similar to Walmart. The implied volatility is about 2x, though. So it's about half the price and twice the volatility. So its options, even though it's half the price, its call options will actually be a little bit more expensive than Walmart, delta to delta. So a 40 delta call in CCJ is going to be slightly more expensive than a 40 delta call in Walmart. Oh wow, CCJ blowing up.
I know.
It's really going.
It is. This is so. Let's do Walmart. I think it's an easy one to kind of buy, close your eyes, and forget about. And I was looking at some kind of intermediate dated calls. The 100 calls for June, which are 6 months away, and only $8 out of the money, are $3.30.
That would be very investable style purchase.
That is super inexpensive. And I'll show you a little fun analysis here, folks. So if we buy those June 100 calls. And I'm going to go out 8 weeks, and I'll go out 8 months, uncheck that and that. And 10% back. We'll go. All right. So if Walmart, let's say, gets to $103, it's right here, guys. If that takes till June, we just make a little bit of money. If that takes till February, we do real nicely. And obviously, if it did it today, that'd be incredible. So this is what I would be kind of looking at. You can kind of see what the vol curve. Obviously, the more Walmart moves, the more money these calls will make, and that is why I like these inexpensive calls. I think you buy them for, $3.30. Put an offer out at $7 and walk away. And when those fill, and then make a decision. So there you have it, folks. We are going to buy the Walmart June. The Walmart June 100 calls for $3.30.
Okay.
All right. And I'll type that up for everybody here so that you can see.
So that's the June 20, 2025.
The June 20th, 2025. 100 calls for $3.30 or less. All right, everybody. We're about to turn into a pumpkin. So one more time, we want to wish you all a very happy new year. So for Andrew T. Giovinazzi, the Viking of Volatility, Francis J. Gregory, our man of K Street and Wall Street, Hans J. Albrecht, our favorite Canadian, and of course, Alicia J. Leslie, Queen of the Candles. I'm Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a wonderful, wonderful trading week.
Take care, everybody.
See you, everyone.